Okay, good morning, Year 11 and Year 12. First of all, I just wanted to start by saying well done and thank you, because it's been a rather strange end to the year, but actually your positivity and resilience, whether you've been coming into school to attend lessons or you've been completing transition work at home, has been really brilliant. So well done and thank you for that. Can I just remind everybody, please, just to turn off your cameras and mics if you haven't done so already? That would be greatly appreciated. So I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes or so just explaining to you how September is going to operate, because clearly we're in a situation at the moment where there are lots of things that are changing, and inevitably when you come back in September, school is going to look probably quite a bit different to what it was back in March before lockdown started. So, first of all, in terms of your return dates, just so that we're clear on this, Year 12, so that's current Year 11s moving into Year 12, we are going to ask for you to attend school on the afternoon of Monday the 7th of September, and you should be attending school at 12:30 until 2:30. Mr. Maxwell will email you a programme later on in the week, and that really is to ensure that you are organised and sorted, ready for your first full day back, which will be on Tuesday the 8th of September. So that's Year 12s. You'll be coming into school at 12:30 on the afternoon of Monday the 7th. And then everyone, that's all school year groups, including the sixth form, the expectation then is that you attend school as normal on Tuesday the 8th of September. There will be an extended tutor period in the morning, which will last during periods 1 and 2, to make sure that you have everything sorted again. You're given your timetables. We explain to you how things are going to physically look different for you around the school, and also your tutor group details will be emailed to you on the 3rd of September along with your timetables. So moving forward, our objectives, if you like, for September is really to make sure that all of the Caulfield School community and their families are kept safe. You're aware from the government's guidelines and information that's been circulated recently that the intention is that schools will be fully open in September and every single student will be expected to attend as normal. The other thing clearly that we need to ensure that we do is to follow the government guidance. And if you wanted to view it yourself, you can do so. We've sent the link to your parents over the course of the last week or so. But at the same time, we need to balance all of that with maintaining our high expectations. We want for you to come back and be supported. But at the same time, we want for you to strive to achieve the best that you possibly can, given that we're in a situation where you've missed several months of education in terms of being in the school, even though remote learning has been absolutely brilliant. But we want to come back and we want to be working at 100% effort to ensure that everyone is exceeding their potential. And clearly we want to make sure that everyone can learn to the max. And even though school will look different, we hope, provided a really supportive learning environment for you so that you can flourish. So I'm going to talk you through a few logistics that I will also put on the website for you, and I will email you this PowerPoint presentation so that you can share it with your parents and discuss it with them. Someone's got their mic on. Can you turn it off, please? So travelling to and from school, in an ideal world, we would like for people to walk and cycle, but we accept that that isn't always possible. And you need to remember that you should really be avoiding travelling with others outside of your family in the same car. If you have to do that, the government advises that you keep the window open, you have to sit side by side and wear a face mask. And this is where potentially it's going to be a big change for some of you, although the majority of you do walk to school. But for those of you who use public transport, you must wear a face mask. Okay, you will not be allowed to travel if you don't have a face mask. So that's public transport, you must wear a face mask. If you are using school transport, the Merley bus or the Sturminster Marshall bus, you must also wear a face mask to protect yourself, but to also protect other people. And I'm just going to talk to you a bit about face masks now. Now, given that we are trying to be environmentally friendly, what we as a school would advise you do if you have to wear a face mask is that you wear a reusable, washable one if you can. And actually, it will save you money in the long run because effectively you use them once and then you wash them and then you can use them again. But clearly, if, for example, you're travelling on a bus to school, whether it's a public bus or a school bus, and you wear your reusable face mask, you can't then wear it on the way back. So you'll need to bring two with you. So if you decide to wear a washable face mask, you must bring two with you, one to wear on the way to school and one to wear on the way back from school. When you arrive in school, in fact, before you arrive in school, after you get off the bus, you must very carefully remove your first mask by removing the ties. You don't touch the front, you roll it up and you secure it by the ties and you place it in a plastic bag inside your bag where it stays throughout the day. And then you wear your second mask for the return journey. If, however, for whatever reason, you can't get hold of a reusable mask, then a disposable mask will suffice. But as I said, one that's probably going to cost you a bit of money in the long run, or more money in the long run. Plus, it's not very environmentally friendly, but we do accept in some circumstances that you might not have any choice. If you wear a disposable mask, again, you'll need to bring two with you. And as soon as you get off the bus, before you step foot into the school building, we will have some closed bins. They have to be closed. And again, you will need to make sure that you remove them using the ties, don't touch the front, roll them up, secure them and place them in the lidded bin. Again, I will put this on the website and also be emailed to you if you'd like to go through that specific information again with your parents. The other thing that's going to be quite different in September is that the whole school has to operate in something called bubbles. You may have heard people talking about them on the news. But effectively, what it means is that we have groups of students who are not allowed to interact with other groups of students. So what that means for us is that we're going to have year group bubbles. So therefore, every year group, so that's year 9, year 10, year 11, and the sixth form are going to be one bubble. Each bubble will be allocated a specific zone or area within the school. And you will not be permitted, unfortunately, that's not us, that's the government guidance, to interact or come into contact with anyone in a different bubble. Now, the reason for that is because we want to minimise the risk of infection from different groups of students mixing with each other. And what that means is that for each zone, you will have a separate catering area, separate rooms, separate entrances, exits, toilets and social spaces. So what it's going to look like in September is that there's effectively going to be 4 mini schools, if you like, operating in the same building. And I'll show you on a map in a minute what that looks like. You may have heard people talking about staggered entrances, staggered start times and finish times. Now, we have decided that we are not going to use a staggered start time, which is effectively where we have different groups of students arriving at different times, because we are confident that actually with 8 different entrances for specific groups of students to use, we won't need to stagger the start time. So the normal start time will apply for every single year group. So ideally you need to be on the school site around 8:30. And for you, what this looks like as members of the sixth form bubble is you will have a choice of 2 entrances and you must stick to these 2 entrances. You can't come in at any other entrance in the school building. It's really, really important that you remember that. So for you, it will be the sixth form entrance. And for year 11 students, I've taken a photograph for you in case you didn't know where the sixth form entrance is, but it's just left of main reception. And then if you decide that you're coming in the back way, you need to come across the rear car park and then enter into the science corridor. Again, we'll make sure that we've got signs up displaying clearly where your entrances are. But again, there's a photograph for you. And as I said, that's you can come in that way via the. Make sure you follow the signs. But the slight difference is that we will need to stagger the end of the day. And the reason for that is because if you can imagine in the morning, everyone is arriving at a slightly different time, but in the afternoon, potentially, we've got almost 1,000 students exiting the building at the same time. So we are going to slightly stagger the end of the day. And what this looks like for you as members of the sixth form is that on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you will leave the school building if you have a lesson at 10 minutes past 3. And on a Thursday and Friday, it's 10 minutes to 3. So essentially, it's just a 5-minute difference for you from the normal end to the school day. So please remember that you'll be kept slightly behind if you've got a lesson, just to make sure that we can get the year 9s and the year 10s and the year 11s out first. And then actually you'll be going out with year 11. But it means that we can just safely make sure that everyone is able to leave the school site. So the sixth form zone. Now, I'm going to show you a map on the next slide, but try to kind of picture this in your mind's eye, if you like. So for your study periods, you are going to be allocated the LRC. So that is a sixth form resource, if you like, or room, and other year groups will not be allowed into the LRC. As you go into the LRC, as you can see at the picture at the bottom, you're going to be coming down the stairs from Shades into the LRC, but left of the LRC is going to be the year 11 zone. So there will be a barrier there, which will mean that you won't be able to cross over into the year 11 zone because you have to be separated from them. So to access the LRC, you'll need to keep in front of the doors, essentially, to enter that way as you come down the stairs from the first floor. Most lessons for sixth formers will be in science labs. That is a really large part of the school. The rooms are huge, and actually for the majority of your lessons you will be timetable in the science labs or room 25. So they essentially have been allocated within the sixth form zone, and they will be your rooms, so they won't be used by other students. However, if you have a subject which requires such as media, science, room on your timetable, for example, if you have media and your specialist room for media is room, that's actually the year 11 zone. So your teacher will have to come and collect you from the sixth form zone and escort you into the year 11 zone. And then we will need to make sure that that room is cleaned by using anti-bac wipes before and after you use it, because there'll be different year groups using that specialist room. So that's just one example of how we're going to operate the use of those particular rooms. Because you are going to be grouped in bubbles, that means that we can't physically meet as houses. We will not be allowed to put you all in the hall together across different bubbles or year groups. So therefore, we will be operating on a fortnightly basis year group assemblies, maybe more frequently if the need arises. But because we're now all experts using Teams, the idea is that we will still have house assemblies, but they will be presented using Teams to you in your tutor groups. You'll be pleased to hear that Shades Cafe is still for you, just you, no one else will be allowed inside there. And it's an inside social space too. And although you might not be able to visualize this, the grass area outside the sports hall will be your allocated outside social space. So every year group has an allocated outside space, given that the weather hopefully will still be quite warm in September, and you need to be outside. So there'll be a space outside for you and you won't be able to mix with other year groups. You'll be allocated specific toilets, which you can use, the sixth form toilets clearly, and the science toilets, they will all be signed for you. And I can't stress this enough, you have to stay in your own zone. And again, the reason for that is to minimise any risk of cross-infection coming into contact with students from other year groups. Now, you probably won't be able to see this if, like me, you need to wear glasses particularly. But again, you will be able to zoom into this after I've finished the presentation, because as I said, it's being recorded. But essentially, your area is the green area and the specialist areas are the pink areas. So these are the rooms that potentially can be used by other year groups as long as they're escorted by their teachers. But you will be based in the green areas. Equipment. Now, it's really, really important that you bring your own equipment. And the reason for that is because we are not allowed to lend you any equipment. You are not allowed to borrow any equipment off any other student. So therefore, what you come with is what you're going to be using in your lesson. So I've given you a suggested equipment list here, which is just a generic one. You might need to bring specific information depending on specific equipment depending on which subject you're studying, but you need to be prepared. Every single student will be issued, and many of you already have been in year 12, you'll be issued a mini whiteboard. And the reason for this is because actually, if you think about the fact that you're not going to be allowed to get close to teachers, and I'll explain that in a minute, and they're not going to be able to come very close to you, actually being able to use a mini whiteboard is a really effective way of being able to show the teachers your work. So the key message from this slide really is to make sure that you are properly prepared in September. Hygiene and cleaning is going to be of paramount importance, and I just wanted to remind you of these key points, because actually it's our personal hygiene and the regular cleaning that is going to mitigate or minimise any potential risk of catching the coronavirus. So just to reassure you that all rooms and toilets will be regularly cleaned. The specialist rooms will be cleaned using antibac wipes before and after your use. You will be cleaning them yourself. You can bring your own as well. Actually, if it makes you feel more comfortable and you're able to sanitize your hands more regularly, then please do feel free to bring your own. A reminder as well about hand washing, regular hand washing for 20 seconds. Catch it, bin it, kill it, making sure that you bin any tissues that you use. Again, that's very, very important. If you cough or sneeze, it needs to be into the crook of your arm, not your hand. And you should avoid touching your face. And that's really hard to remember, I think, but please avoid touching your face. Social distancing. The guidance has changed slightly for students in school, and ideally we would like for people to stay 2 meters apart, but the aim is to keep at least 1 meter away from other students. Now, this may not be possible in all lessons, clearly, because in some lessons there may be 30 students, but ideally you need to keep 1 meter away from other students. The other important thing to remember, someone's got their mic on, could you turn it off please, is that you need to keep away by 2 meters from all staff at all times. And you might be sitting there thinking, well, why is it 2 meters for staff but 1 meter for students? It's because the staff are moving between the different zones. And that's why it's really, really important that they keep away from you by 2 meters and vice versa, to minimize any potential risk of cross-infecting across the different bubbles or year groups. A reminder about coronavirus symptoms. If you develop a new persistent cough, raised temperature, or a change or loss of smell or taste, you must stay at home and self-isolate for 7 days. You must arrange a test. Now, the tests can be arranged in a number of different ways, but they are actually quite rapid to organise, or effectively quite quick to organise at the moment. So should you be tested and come back with a negative result, then clearly you wouldn't need to continue self-isolating for 7 days. If your household member has symptoms, then you will need to self-isolate with them for 14 days unless their test comes back negative. And if any student just to reassure you, develops any symptoms in school, then they will be isolated within their zone and sent home almost there. So clearly there are going to be a lot of changes, and as a Caulfield school community, it's really, really important that we pull together and actually support each other. And one way that this is going to work really effectively is if people follow instructions. So we're really grateful. If you're not sure of anything, then please ask a member of staff. We need to protect and support each other to enable you to learn to the max in your lessons. And again, we expect for people to follow the Caulfield's way, but also as members of the sixth form to act as positive role models for other students. Next steps. Check the map carefully. Check your start times because they're different according to whether or not you're in year 12 or 13. Make sure that you are aware of the correct entrance and exits and your forums, which you will be sent shortly. The normal dress code applies, and if you're not sure about what this is, if you're moving into year 12, then please check the website or ask one of us if you are unsure, and be prepared to learn to the max. Come back to school in September with a positive attitude because we are really, really looking forward to seeing you all. And finally then, have a lovely summer. Again, please ask if you have any questions. We've still got a few days left and we're all here for you. So please ping us an email if you've got any questions at all, or give us a phone call. Make sure that you have a rest and catch up with those people who are important to you. Stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you all in September. Take care. Thank you.